everyone, this is Beth Castellini with Lizzy Stamps. I wanted to show you something that Stampin' Up! Has started to come out with, which I took, and I was so amazed at these wonderful projects we did. So it's a card class that you can purchase on the Stampin' Up! Website. This one is the Brushed with Beauty card class, and it's everything that comes in the suite. And so I just wanted to show you some of the projects we did. The class is $30, but I will tell you, it is so worth it. There's a private Facebook group that you get an invitation to once you pay for the class. It is available still. I watched it live, but it is on video. And there's also pictures from other demonstrators and customers that show you what they made, because some people might not have all the supplies. All right, so I just want to show you real quick. We got to make this cute box. I think this box is so adorable. It's a Crumb Cake base, and I'm using everything in the suite here. Remember, there's a video that I posted on the whole suite and what you get in the suite. So you can go back and look at that video if you'd like. But I think this is so fun. Not only do they show you how to put everything together, but they also give you the instructions and all the different sizes that you need. So you can keep replicating. You don't necessarily have to use this suite. You can use other cards. But I think this suite is really, I'm very impressed with this suite. And then this I don't know if you can see, but there's 3 separate die cuts for okay? I'm going to get out so you can see what I'm talking about. So with the you've got the outside, and then you have the layer, and then you've got the more narrow layer of the word just, and the same with because. You'll see that I have very vanilla for the outline border, and then the second is vellum. Now, did you know Stampin' Up! Stopped selling vellum until this go around, which I think is great. The vellum now, instead of coming in 8.5 by 11, it comes in 12 by 12. You receive 12 sheets of 12 by 12. And I will tell you, and I'm going to show you a technique in a minute using the vellum, but it's really nice. And I will tell you, the other thing that in the class that they tell you is that with vellum, and this is like good for cardstock too. I'm just going to share this little tip with you. So there's different ways if you were to fold, okay? This one is sort of hard. It's bendable, if that makes sense. It's bouncing back. But if I were to turn it the other way, it has a different fold to it. So I'm going to show you a scrapbook page that I made, but if I were to tear the vellum, I would use the side like this and pull towards you, okay? I wouldn't do it this way because you're going to get more of a straighter line, whereas if you turn it this way, you'll get more of a jagged edge line, okay? And I'll show that to you in just a minute. But little fun fact, I do love the vellum paper, so you can get this. If I didn't say earlier, this is an online exclusive, the suite is, but the class you can find on the Stampin' Up! Website. And I'll have a link to that at the bottom of, at the end of my video. All right, so here's the box that we got to make. And another thing too, is I was so impressed. It shows you, because it was the 2 creators who created this suite that showed us how to make the cards and talked to us about the behind the scenes of how they made the paper, how they created it. I was just so impressed. So, and there's a way, and there's a reason why they did the wording the way they did, like smaller, bigger. And then they showed us exactly how to line it up. I think that was great. I'm going to open this up, and I'm going to show you. We carry these basic white note cards and envelopes. They're 5 1/8 by 3 5/8. They come pre-scored. You get 20 card fronts and 20 envelopes. They fit perfectly in this box. So I'm going to show you some of the cards. This one I stamped on the vellum, and they show you exactly like the reason you need to heat set after each stamped color. It just makes the colors more vibrant. And then, so there's that one. And then this one, and you'll notice it's shiny. I'm going to show you a little trick because even though it's colored, I heat embossed it with clear embossing powder. How did I do that? I'm going to show you in a minute. But there's another card. And look at this one. It does come with a embossing folder. And again, I heat embossed with clear embossing powder. But I'm going to show you that. And then this one is just stamped on. All right. And then you've got your envelopes. So what a great gift this would be, especially for the holidays. You can get the measurements if you take the class. I wish I could give you the measurements for the box, but it's part of the class, and I know that's sort of a bummer. Maybe later on, once the class is done, I will give the measurements for the box and make another box similar. All right. Then this one, I think this one's great too. I colored with our Stampin Blends. These are alcohol markers. So to color on vellum, it dries really quick. So I embossed the leaves with the embossing folder, and then I colored it in. Okay. So I really like that. And then the other die that comes with this suite. So this die, we cut it out, but then you kept it inlay. You kept it inside. And I thought that was really pretty. And you have a 5 1/4 by, or 5 1/2 by 4 1/4 piece of the designer series paper underneath. And it really just makes it pop using that one. So there's another one. And then I just love the just because it's your birthday, or just because I'm thinking of you, or I love you. So I do love that. I don't think I stamped the inside. No, I didn't. All right, here's the next one. Now, this class, they used embossing paste. I will tell you, when the embossing paste first came out, that Stampin' Up! Started selling them, I did use the embossing paste quite a bit. I really did. And then I just forgot about it. So when they started using the embossing paste, I tried to get some out, and it was brand new, and it was so old, and it had hardened a little bit. So I was sort of bummed, but I do want to play with the embossing paste because they really did some fun things with it. So instead, what I did is I took my Calypso Coral, which I'm going to need this color anyway, and I made a puddle on my lid. There you go. But you can make it bigger. And I used a watercolor brush. Okay, watercolor brush. And I did a little whitewash. I actually did both the Petal Pink, which is one of the colors in the suite, Petal Pink and Calypso Coral. So I think I started with the Petal Pink and then the Calypso Coral on an embossed piece of Very Vanilla. And there you can see. But I really like that whitewash look, but they did it with embossing paste, and they colored the embossing paste, which you can. So I was sort of bummed that mine is all out. Now I'm going to have to order some because I was just hooked. The next thing that we did is it was a scrapbook page, but I am not a big scrapbooker. I used to be, but I'm not anymore. But I still followed what they did, okay? And what they did with the flowers, and the solid part of the flower underneath, we embossed it, and then they used embossing paste. So it gave it a lot of depth. But I didn't, but I just went ahead and colored them in with, I watercolored them, okay? We had this stamp a long time ago, and it's our statement of the heart, to love what we do and share what we love as we help others enjoy creativity and worthwhile accomplishments. In this, we make a difference with the heart. And that was one of Shelley Gardner, who's the founder of Stampin' Up. She went by this motto and still does to this day. And so does her daughter, Sarah, who's running the company. But I thought, why not have this? And I'm going to put it in a 12 by 12 frame. And I love the idea of the vellum underneath. So when I tore it, I pushed it in, and the more taut side is where I did the tear. Okay. And you'll notice that it's jagged edge on both sides. Okay. And then I added some of the embellishments that come with the suite. I love, it's like a pearlized embellishments, and it's crumb cake, white, or very, very vanilla, and Calypso coral that you get. So I decided to make this what we call a sampler. I didn't want just the very vanilla piece to be on top of the vellum. So I just added a piece of the designer series paper, and it's about 1/8 of an inch all the way around, just to give it just a little more depth. But isn't that pretty? I love it. And I know it doesn't, I might add some more flowers, but I think I just sort of like it this way. Sometimes less is more. So, okay. So those are the projects we made. And again, this class, you can go to my website and you can purchase the class. If you would like to purchase the suite, that would be great. But even if you don't, purchase the paper and the vellum. I'm telling you, the paper and the vellum are just amazing. So you don't have to purchase the whole suite. You can purchase parts of the suite if you want to. But I really think this suite is really, really pretty. And the colors are just stunning. All right. So on one of the cards, I showed you about stamping on vellum. So here's our vellum right here. And I'm just going to show some samples real quick because I don't want to spend a lot of time because I did show you the cards. But let me get those cards out again, or the one card out. So as you can see, I clear emboss this, but you're probably wondering, well, how did she clear emboss? With the color. Okay, I'm going to show you. So Stampin' Up sells embossing powder. This comes in clear, white, and black. And then we also have metallics that come in a 3-pack. Even though this is a small bottle, it lasts a long time, okay? So we do carry, if you didn't know, we do carry an embossing tray. And with the embossing tray comes a brush and the reverse, what do you call these? Anyway, I call them little catchers. And this is a nice one. It's good because it'll grip on. The one thing, and I think it does come with a embossing buddy. And I'm going to show you why you use the embossing buddy. You will purchase, the Versamark is separate. Now the Versamark, remember, is clear, and that is our glue for the embossing powder. Okay. You can also stamp with it on cardstock and it brings the color of the cardstock out. But we're going to use this for embossing today. So one thing I wanted to show you, again, here's another little tip. If your clear stamps start to not really stick, okay, because I use this one and it's probably got embossing powder on it because when I made the card. You take a wipe. This is Wipe Clear. You can buy them at any big box store. They come in a big pack. And these are basically alcohol wipes. And it's really good. And I clean my blocks with these as well. See? And there's a lot of residue on there. And it just clings better once you do that. Isn't that great? So, and again, you can use it on your block. And I do that usually after I have card class. All right, so I'm using the outline of the flower, okay? I'm using this part. We're not going to use the solid. We're going to use this part. So I have that and I'm going to use Calypso Coral with that. And then I've got, this one also needs to be wiped down just a little bit. And then this is the leaf. They just stick so much better when you do that. And then Mossy Meadow. All right, the first thing we do, and you do this with cardstock too. This is our embossing buddy, And what this does is it helps keep the static off. And so when you stamp your image and add the embossing powder only sticks to where you stamp the Versamark, okay? So there. So I just put some of them on. It is white. You'll see it's a white powder. Now, let's start with this. So I've got my Versamark pad. Make sure you guys can see. All right, I'm going to open that up, and then I'm going to open up my Calypso Coral. All right. So the first thing we're going to do to stamp and make it with color, I'm going to stamp this image with Versamark, okay? Now it's clear, right? You don't see it. Then I'm going to come over here and stamp with Calypso Coral. So now it's inked up. So I'm going to stamp the image. Okay, there you go. Then what you're going to do next, I'm going to close everything up again because I always make a mess. Oh, I'm going to need this one again. All right. And then I'm going to come and bring my tray over. And I've got my tray. And I'm just going to take the embossing powder. This is clear. Remember, this is clear. And we're going to just add it generously over. And I'm going to bend this over. And it catches, but I'm going to show you how quick it is to clean. But there you go, okay? So then I'm going to put the embossing powder to the side, and I'm going to grab my heat tool. Remember our heat tool? It comes with 2 settings. This is an older one, but now it has a 1 and a 2 by it. But you want to be careful because vellum can burn fairly quickly. So, and I'm going to heat it up a little bit, and I'm moving it around. I do not want to leave it stationary, but you're going to see once the heat gun heats up, you're going to see how it's becoming clear? Look at that. And I can turn it around, make sure. See how it's becoming clear? And it's a stamped image in a color. So you don't have to necessarily just use clear embossing powder for clear images. Isn't that great? So that's a little fun fact. Look at that. So and then it dries fairly quickly. If I wanted to color in the flower, I have Calypso Coral. I'm going to use my light Calypso Coral, okay? And I'm going to turn it over. And then I'm going to color it in. Just like that. Okay? Because I am going to die cut these out. It's a little faint, but I can go back over it again and it'll get just a little bit darker. This one has been used quite a bit. So you'll see. But look at that. So I think it's really fun. It's just a fun little technique. All right, let's show you. I'm going to grab my foam mat because when you've got a more solid image, you definitely want to have your foam mat. The foam mat is great. It's about a 1/2 inch thick and it sits at 9 by 6. And it's just great because it helps adhere your stamp to your cardstock or to your vellum. Okay, so let's try this again. Remember what we did is we stamped with the Versamark. Okay, did that. And then I'm going to stamp with the Mossy Meadow. Okay, close it up. And it's okay because the Versamark is very gooey, so you have time before you adhere it. And then I'm just going to push down, lift up. Look at that. I like how part of it is a little bit darker. It's got a little bit of shadowing. And then we're going to go ahead and add this embossing powder. And I'm going to, and you'll notice that the embossing powder only adheres to where I stamped the image, okay? And again, let's get our, now that it's a little bit warmer, this should go quickly. There you go. There. All right. So there you go. Oh my gosh. So I did just a collection of the flowers on this one. Again, I colored underneath with the light Calypso Coral Stamping Blend. We do have a trio of flowers, and then you have your leaves. But how great is that? So you can stamp with any color using the Versamark pad to emboss. And it just adds just a little bit more fun to the card. I just love it. So I think that's just a little fun idea, a little technique I think is great. One quick thing I wanted to show you. So your tray, you've got the nozzle right here, and all you're going to do is to get the excess, you just pour in like that, and you can use your brush to get the excess there. And then you can close it back up. I love these trays. These are great trays. It keeps everything together. And I usually just keep everything together, my Versamark pad and my embossing, but I keep it all together in my embossing drawer. So it's ready for the next use. So there you go. All right, guys, I hope you liked this little different technique, and I hope you guys give it a try. All right. And I really appreciate you watching. Again, you can get all of the products on my website at lizzystamps.stampinup.net. And I hope you follow along for more tips and ideas. I hope you guys have a great day. Happy stamping.